Yeah, that's about what it takes. We did it last year. Because they do the fire department one too, the raffle for that. And the gun raffle.
Okay, yeah. That's perfect. So if we start
I'm
planning.
thinking, is it 6 or 5? We do that. I don't even remember now. I've been doing it for years. I don't
That's
even-
that guy. He's just got the drawing. I think it's 6 o'clock. Dan, is the drawing for the raffle at 6 or?
Okay, perfect.
Still working.
Yeah.
Is your
we
mic
start
working?
planning 3, 4, 5, 4, 5.
Somewhere in there.
Perfect. The plan's perfect for
And
free.
people here can hear you, but
Right now,
then on the video or on the online, they can't hear if you don't put it in the microphone. Just when you speak, try to get it.
All right. Well, you know.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. I just remind everybody that you need to speak into these. Few people have commented they can't hear us online. So you really need to speak into the microphone. We have Michael attending virtually. We'll do a call to order and roll call.
She's got
Tara?
it. She's got it. Roll call.
She's
Yep.
got the roll call?
Yep.
Okay. All right, and then we'll have a approval of the agenda.
I make a motion to approve your.
No.
Nope. Never mind. Go ahead.
Can I motion to amend the agenda to add new business? I'd like to discuss a temporary suspension of the volunteer and intern programs for the library.
Okay,
And I believe that might need a second.
I'll second it.
okay, we have a motion and a second to amend the agenda to add new business. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All in favor to approve the agenda, amendment to the agenda?
By roll call.
Tara?
Aye.
Aye. Jesse?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Okay.
And could I also make a motion to amend the agenda for tonight's meeting to allow for a closed session to discuss Rudder v. Harmony Library with the Signing Council as the last item for tonight's business.
Okay, that was a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to have a closed session at the end of the meeting. And then we'll call the meeting back to order. But during the closed session, everyone will be asked to leave except the designated people. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Tara?
Aye.
Aye. Jesse?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, do we have anyone here for public forum? Ann? Wanna come up? And Pam? Okay. We typically give 2 minutes at the council meetings. And just, we really don't respond to people's forum comments, but we
That's
could put
okay.
something on the next agenda or discuss it at a future meeting.
The thing I want to talk about is what Michael brought up. So I was at the library board meeting last night and I'm really upset about it. And I'm kind of appalled, actually. I can't believe that in this time when funding is going to be cut, we know that it's going to be a problem, I think, for the city and for the library, that you would trim off a group that gives freely free hours. It just makes no sense to me. And to me, it affirms the idea that I had all along. This isn't about, what the volunteers do. This is a personal conflict between two people in the library. And I think it should have been handled much differently. It should have been nipped in the bud a year ago. I mean, how long has this gone on? They're two grown-up people. They should be able to talk. And I don't think that we should be making decisions about people who are good at their job but don't look like us. Every one of us has some little weirdness about us. Maybe it isn't as obvious in all cases, but we all have things that, other people might disagree with. So I'm just really upset about this. I mean, volunteers are what could get the library through this nonsense that's going on with the government and all of it. And to me, this is just blatant discrimination. I really believe that. And I hear there's a lawsuit. So how much is that going to cost the city? And I think it will cost the city. I just can't believe that this is happening here. Such a little place, we should be able to resolve our conflicts without going to court.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
Perfect 2 minutes.
And Pam Brink is here.
Hi, I just wanted to discuss and have questions about the signage, the Welcome to Harmony signs. I feel like they need a little freshening up maybe, and then also a little concern about the light on the east side of town. That's been broken down for like 2 years, I know for a fact, the light needs to be fixed.
The light on the welcome
At the
sign?
golf course
Okay.
lot, that light needs to be fixed. I'm wondering, is there a budget for that type of stuff and the updates and the freshening up of something like that? How does that, I have no idea how you go about something like that. So that is my concern. That's just a little thing, and there's a couple other things that I just wanted to start with that one. I'm willing to, help in any way I can if there's something that, I appreciate. I just think it's important when you come into Harmony to have it look a little better, stand out. I don't know if they need to be pressure washed, if the freestanding or those little things on that
Implements or
implements,
buildings
whatever
or-
if they need to be repainted so that they jump out a little bit more. And I don't know who does something like that. I don't know what that is for budget. And is there a budget I'm curious, is there a budget within the city for enhancements, beautifications, things like that? And if somebody, so just simple little concerns
Mhm.
but if it's not addressed, it just nothing ever gets changed or done about it. So, and I have a few other things, but
Okay.
maybe tonight isn't the night. I'll come back after. But I really want to commend the city employees for putting up the garland,
That's 2 minutes.
Okay,
I'm
that's
sorry.
I'll come back another time.
Thanks, Pam.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else for public forum?
I'd like to say something.
Okay.
I'm Julie Little, and I'm here to talk about the library volunteer decision. And I just wanted to say that, I worked at the Hennepin County Libraries for 8 years, and the volunteer program was huge, and it was a way of accessing being part of the community and giving back. There were a lot of people that came in, kids that had job coaches and things like that, and they learned how to work and how to deal with the public. And we had English language learners. We had people who were empty nesters come in and just be part of the community. And I was glad to see that we had that here. When I started work at the library, I was a circulation assistant for a while, and there were several volunteers, and one woman that would come in because she'd lost her husband and she was lonely, and it was a great way of interacting and being part of the community and kind of getting back into life again. And I just think it's a really, when there's very few people that work at the library, and life goes on, you know, if you have someone in your family who's sick or something like that, you're stuck. You're there by yourself, even just to get away to use the bathroom or something like that. Having a trained volunteer there was really a gift, a godsend. And there were things that I did not enjoy doing. Everybody loves parts of their jobs and not others. And this volunteer, one in particular that Megan that works there, she would take on anything and do it with joy and energy and quality. So
Julie, that is
Yeah.
2 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Julie. Anyone else for public forum? Seeing none, we'll call for the consent agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to new business. Oh, yes, good idea. Call for a roll call vote. Tara?
Aye.
Aye. Jesse?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Michael?
I,
Motion carries. Now we'll do new business. Seal coating bid. Hi, Brett.
Good evening. So yesterday, we accepted quotes. We solicited quotes here about a week and a half ago. Got the quotes back yesterday for the 2025 seal coating improvements. We solicited quotes from 3 different contractors. We got 3 quotes back. We have about just over 18,000 square yards of seal coating that myself and the staff put together for this year. The low quote was Pearson Brothers at the cost of $53,400. Second quote was Farner Asphalt at $73,482.95. And just so you guys know, the 53.4 is about $1,000 less than what we had anticipated before the quote was opening. So I think the quotes are very good. The low quote is very good. And if you guys would like to move forward with the seal coat project for the 2025, my recommendation would be Pearson Brothers.
Is this the same
Same
seal
contract we've had
coating,
probably
but
for
the
the last
same
10 years.
product we've been using?
Yep, same
Yep.
aggregate. So it's a trap rock, an
Yep.
1/8-inch trap rock. So it's that gray slate looking
Mhm.
aggregate.
I'll make a motion to approve the low bid. of Pearson Brothers.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second for the low bid. Any further discussion?
I did have one note for the proposals, the final completion date, which is, I think there's a couple different ones, page 18 and page 21 of our packets. The final completion date is listed as September 1st, 2023. Should that be changed?
Yeah. It's 2025.
Won't be done that soon.
So if you guys remember, the contractor will let us know when they're going to come in. They'll deliver their aggregates to town. They'll post 24 hours beforehand, no parking. They'll come in and be gone in about a 2-hour period. 3 to 7 days following, you'll have sweepers that come through and do their sweeping and removal of that excess aggregate. And then we're done. So this is a couple hours worth of application and a couple hours worth of sweeping on the back end. And so the completion date's later in the year, but that's just so they can try to fit it in their schedule to most economically come down here. They come from northern Minnesota, so they have enough jobs that they kind of do a horseshoe. They head south and then midweek they hit the bottom and then they turn back north towards home. So if you look at it too, I think we do have it set up that they need to be, if they're going to do it for the 4th of July celebration, that they're done approximately a week before, including sweeping. Otherwise, they need to wait until after the 4th of July celebration's over with.
And is final completion September 1st, then you said?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, any other discussion? All in favor of the votes, signify aye.
Aye.
Tara, aye. Jesse,
Aye.
Kyle,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Solid waste contract, we're gonna discuss that.
There was a revision made that's in your packet now, so right before the prices on the diesel fuel price per gallon and fuel surcharge, it was removed. There was a little bit of information in there on their first packet that included commercial businesses as well, but that was taken out. And they are here tonight too, so if you guys have any questions. So just kind of give you guys a background on this as well. The agreement that we currently have in place is expiring in 2027. So we're not even through the first 5 years yet. It started in April 1st of 2022. They are asking for us to commit to 10 more years after that. And they are keeping our prices. So on the second page, you guys will have a breakdown of the price. They've made a little bit of revisions, but overall it's the same exact price. They just switched it, added $2 and subtracted $2. So it's overall the same price. That's not going to change, but they'd like to stay with us in Harmony, and they would like us, or offering for us to, I guess, sign on for another 10 years. So this will just kind of take over the agreement that we have now, and then our expiration or the end date is 2037. So it'll extend out that far.
Is it time to buy a truck?
And those prices will be locked in for 5 years.
Yeah, and then
Yes.
initial 5 years and then 1 to 3% every year after that.
Thank you. Yes.
Which was in your original one, I think, wasn't it? You had a one
We had an increase every year.
in every year. I'll make a motion to approve the contract.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the solid waste collection contract. Any further discussion? How have things been going for you guys? Is it the volumes seem to be great?
I'm sure it took a little while to get used to the cards, but
Mhm.
everybody's got the hang of it now.
Okay, hearing no further discussion, we'll call for a vote. Tara?
Aye.
Aye. Jesse?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Motion carries. 4th of July fireworks.
Good evening.
Hello, Dan.
Should have a bid in your packets for $10,000 for this year's display. That is 300 less than last year due to us having some leftover igniters. We have $5,000 raised as part of the raffle that will come in, and $1,500 donated by the Conservation Club. The remaining $3,500 will most likely be coming in through some other donations, so it'll be zero cost to the city on this. Just asking for approval to sign the display agreement, and payment is due to J&M Displays by April 25th.
Make a motion to approve.
I'll second
I'll
that.
second.
I think Tara got it.
In-house.
All right, we have motion and second. Any discussion? That's very nice that the funding comes up without asking the city. I know we do the like the work comp on it and the insurance, but yeah, very good. Hearing no further discussion, we'll call for a vote. Tara?
Aye.
Aye. Jesse?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
I'll confirm which address you want.
Citywide cleanup
Thanks, Dan.
date. I think that'll just be an announcement. Do we don't have to do a motion for that, do we?
I did include, so we've talked to Richards about doing June 7th. So we're going to do from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. So I want to make sure you guys are okay with that. And then I also included in your guys' pack up kind of a rough draft of the insert that we'd like to put in the bills. And then that'll be what we advertise out there on Facebook and stuff as well. So please take a look at that. We want to make sure that we're very clear on what they take and what they don't take, and what items are, going to cost residents to bring in. So if there's any changes that you guys would like to see on that, please let me know. And instead of having two, last year we had Richards and then another outfit from Preston come in. Richards has offered to take, so anything that's going to be needed to bring, the disposable items that need to go to Preston, they are not marking any of that up. So literally they're going to haul it to Preston for what, if we wanted to bring it to Preston ourselves and pay that fee, they're charging us the same fee. So they're not charging us anything for bringing it to Preston.
Yeah, I think it looks good. Maybe just confirm with Richards that the disposal fees and what they'll take in that are on this list, so there's no
That was
confusion.
already sent and approved by
Perfect.
Tammy. So,
Perfect.
yep, we've been working together at it to make sure that we had everything.
And then maybe hang some up at the bank and public places.
Absolutely. Yep. And we'll put it out there on our website and Facebook as well.
So dried up cans of really old paint, that you can take those, right? Or they can just go in garbage?
Paint. Well, she had said that that's sketchy. So that is on the list of things that you are not supposed to bring is
So
paint.
there is no paint at all?
Nope. So unable to take these items. It's underneath that already. Paint.
Mhm.
Sorry. You weren't informed?
I don't usually just paint as wet paint.
Yep.
But
Yep.
they don't
It
want
sounds
dried up
like
and
they
won't
used
be
to
dry
have
by then.
it where, yeah, if it was dry that they would take it, but that's not always the case. People don't always make sure that it's dry. So they just said no paint. Sorry, Tammy, the boss, spoke. So. But if anybody has any questions for any items that are not on here, please feel free to reach out and I will do my best to find out.
All right. Park Board summer help.
Do we need to vote on the dates or no? We're good with that? Perfect. Park Board, do you want to update?
So it was Blake Tripp. We interviewed Blake Tripp. We had one apply for the position. Interviewed Blake. I think he's gonna be a great fit. His brother worked for us last year. He's quite serious about mowing lawn and working for the city, so I think he's gonna fit in good.
I'll make a motion to hire Blake for summer help.
Second.
A motion and a second to hire the summer help. Bean Blake. Any further discussion? Call for a vote. Tara?
Aye.
Aye. Jesse?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Motion carries. Chicken ordinance.
So it's going to be a review.
Yeah, I can address that.
Yes.
So quick recap, the city already has an ordinance that permits chickens in a very limited sense in that it's only allowed in industrial districts. That came up a number of years ago when somebody had a request. It has been more recently requested that the city broaden that to allow people to have chickens in other districts. And so this ordinance, if adopted, would do that. It would allow people in residential districts to have up to 10 hens, no roosters. And so it borrows a lot of the standard provisions you see in many other communities, trying to take the best of everything. I can go through it in more detail, but the general idea behind this is it continues to allow them in industrial automatically. It makes them a conditional use in residential, so the applicant would have to still go to the planning and zoning board and get their approval that they're following these rules basically, and it would give planning and zoning opportunity to make any other special conditions if there was something unique to that situation. In either scenario, they need a permit from the city. So it's just like dogs, cats, ATVs. Once a year, you got to get that permit to stay in good standing to be able to do that.
Is that in our fee structure?
It would, if it isn't yet, you'd need to add
We'll
that.
have to add it.
Yeah, I don't know if there was one from the old industrial or not, but
I thought there was.
Was there? I did not see it. We'll check into that.
I could be wrong.
We should have a permit fee so we can
No,
pay to have somebody go look at it once a year or something.
Well, just the processing.
Mhm.
and then it details some of the expectations as far as how the coop is constructed, keeping it out of sight. Generally, the neighbors getting permission from neighboring landowners too, that they're okay with the applicant putting chickens on the property. And
So
so
this allows us to not give a permit if neighbors don't want it.
the way it's written now, yep.
Okay.
Yep. Of course, it can be fine tuned. The next ordinance we're going to talk about is going to require a public hearing. And so tonight, the chicken ordinance does not require a public hearing necessarily because it's not changing your zoning rules in the sense of other traditional zoning actions. So, but you could choose to just keep them both on the same track if
Add
you
it.
wanted to. So people had a month to think about this. If you have any other changes, and then at next month's meeting, when you take up the other ordinance, just keep them both in line and publish them both at the same time if you want.
I like that idea.
But regardless, tonight would be a good time to speak up if you had other ideas that, or changes you would want to see incorporated for any final version. For my sake and planning and helping. But what you have in front of you was reviewed by planning and zoning, and they recommended this in this form.
All right. Well, my thoughts are to add that power ordinance.
I can speak to this one as well. So another issue that came up, inspired by a question from somebody about whether they could put up a tower in city limits, and if so, what rules would need to be followed. And so the city hasn't had anything this on point or directly to that topic. And so this is another draft for consideration if you want to add it to the zoning ordinance code. Also reviewed by planning and zoning and recommended by planning and zoning. It would allow towers with certain restrictions. And so the main thing is that the height is limited to either 150 feet tall or the distance from the base of the tower to the nearest lot line. In other words, if the tower were to fall so that it fell within whatever property it's on and not crossing over into neighboring properties. So you don't expect towers to fall, but it's pretty common to try to, mitigate that by making those rules. It's written to allow an exception to that general rule. And so the tower could be taller than that distance if the applicant could demonstrate to the city that if it failed, in other words, if the wind were to knock it over, that there's a break point in the tower so that the whole thing isn't going to fall from the base, that it would snap off and not cross the line. And so it's saying that they would have to get an independent engineering, basically opinion or conclusion that that's what would happen. And so it gives the city some flexibility to consider alternatives if the applicant chose to pursue that. Maybe most significantly too, it makes an applicant first explore whether there's already an existing tower that they could put their apparatus on versus creating a new one. And that also appears to be pretty common in these tower ordinances, because you don't want more towers than you really need. And so it's saying that they gotta first, check with the others that are available, and I guess come report back and with why that's not feasible for them to just attach there. And if they do put up a tower, they pass this test and get one up, it's saying that they need to prepare to be able to host others as well, so that future applicants down the road can hopefully rent from them some space.
So does this in some way exclude or not include TV antennas?
It excludes things that are under 25 feet in height.
Okay.
So yeah, most it references amateur radio, television antennas, shortwave listening antennas. People still have those, whatever those are.
And then it doesn't have any grandfather clause. If it's non-conforming,
Yep, it does. So anything existing prior to, I just put in May 1st, not knowing when exactly this would get published, but can remain as they are. They just couldn't be expanded in height without then following these rules.
Okay. Okay, can we set a public hearing for that? Those two? Did we have a suggested one? Did we have a suggested one in here? Date?
I think you could get by just doing it at your next regular meeting.
Yeah.
Regular meeting, okay.
I don't think anybody is needing them considered prior to that.
Okay, let's set review and public hearings for those two ordinances for our next meeting. I'll make that a motion. Tara, or is there a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Call for a vote. Tara?
Aye.
Aye. Jesse?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Door repair quote.
So the door on the community center on the northeast side of the building is needing to be replaced. The frame is rotting out. So we do have a quote. You'll see on the next page that is the breakdown from Nolan Lumber, James Hagerud from Hagerud Painting and Drywall, and then Rod Johnson. So it looks like the total cost is it's $4,122.45. So looking to get that done.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to repair the northeast door. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. Tara?
Aye.
Aye. Jesse?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Motion carries. Cannabinoid ordinance, you want to speak to that one?
Sure. Yes, I think, so the county has drafted and passed an ordinance on the topic. And a lot of communities in the county have more or less adopted that. And we in Harmony haven't taken any further action since we did the original edibles ordinance many months, if not years ago at this point. And so Alyssa shared that with me today and looked it over some, and I guess I felt I wasn't ready to dive into it completely tonight. And so my recommendation, and I talked to Jesse about this, would be to take it up more fully at the next meeting. And in the meantime, that would allow him and I to meet and talk and better get our hands on it, around it. So, but it relates to what the state of Minnesota did a couple of years ago legislatively, and the Office of Cannabis Management that is now really starting, I think, to get into gear because their final rules have just been passed and are in being published. And so I think people across the state have applied for licenses through them. And so that's the first step, and the door is finally open. So there'll be more to come on all that, I'm sure.
All right. Do you want to make a motion to review that ordinance at the next meeting?
I'll make a motion to review the cannabinoid ordinance at the next council meeting.
I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Just to clarify.
So,
'cause
yeah. So
There's there's a special meeting next Tuesday. So we're talking about May agenda, right?
yes,
adding it
for
to
all
May.
three of
Yes,
these.
Just make
Regular.
regular scheduled meeting. Okay, just making sure. Thank you.
We'll leave the truth and taxation to that subject only. All right, hearing no further discussion, we'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye. Tara?
Aye.
Aye. Jesse?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Motion carries. We got old business.
So you have one more item yet?
Oh, yes.
So I can speak to the suspension of the volunteer and intern programs for the library. The library board has been evaluating the library operations in response to concerns raised late last year, 2024. Since January 2025, the library has completed a performance review, implemented trainings, and have held many meetings with staff and volunteers, and that's aimed at improving library operations and user experience. The board has come to the conclusion that it will be most effective to temporarily suspend the volunteer and intern programs effective May 5th of 2025. The majority of the board voted last night in favor of suspending the programs until staff are ready and prepared to implement their skills learned from the trainings, the meetings, and plans that they've went over, and that will allow for the volunteer and intern program to come back stronger than it currently is. In voting last night at the library meeting to recommend to City Council that the programs be temporarily suspended, some of the library board members offered the following remarks. Vicki Christensen is on library board. She stated that she would be in support of temporary suspension of the interim and volunteer programs, as this time will allow the library to rework the volunteer and intern programs and build them back better. I myself felt and shared that in order to better serve the mission of the library, it is best to pare down the staff and volunteers in order to simplify the library board's goals for improvement at this time. Kelly Jo Krensky, our board president, who's a volunteer at the library herself, felt that the temporary suspension is the most clear and effective way to serve the library's mission at this time. She believes it will allow additional time to go through the volunteer description and work toward a more fun, inviting, and engaging library, as well as allow the board to focus on the staff and move them and the library in a positive direction. Paula Barnes is also on the board. She stated that she supported temporary suspension of the intern and volunteer programs, as she agreed with previous remarks made by the president. That this will be most effective way to address the concerns. And it will, being that it's only temporary suspension, we can reinstate the programs when we're feeling ready to do so. With that being said, I motion to accept the recommendation from the library board to temporarily suspend the existing volunteer and intern programs effective May 5th, 2025, until further recommendation from the library board.
Is there a second to Michael's motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I had one question. When you say temporarily suspend the volunteer programs, any time tables or formats, or just reaching the goals of getting things set up and
Yeah,
With
we
the-
haven't talked about a date. We're currently going through review processes, so depending on how long that takes, we'll evaluate from there.
Okay, hearing no further discussion. Should we have a vote on that before our closed meeting? We're not voting on that in a closed meeting, right?
No.
Okay. Yes, so all in favor of the motion? Tara?
Aye.
Aye. Jesse?
Aye.
Kyle?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right. Building and maintenance. Doing your report on
Yep,
that?
it's in your packet. Yeah, so you've got your report from Rick Whitney, the monthly council report, and then you have, following that, I thought you guys would like to see a copy of the certificate of commendation. So it says, in recognition of exceptional compliance with its Minnesota Pollution Control Agency, NPDES and SDS, so wastewater permit during the 2024 review period. So this was for the wastewater treatment facility and its staff.
Very good.
Good job.
Yes. Compliments to the staff. It's good to see.
And then the other one on there is the UV project update on the amendment change. So the original budget was $140,630 for the UV project. The requested budget increase was for $5,459. This is for basically, there's a request to change to natural gas. So that's the additional fee. So we just had to, there's just been a revision to that total. So the total now is $146,089. So just wanted you guys to have that in front of you.
And that's replacing a current gas one or replacing a,
No, so this is for the structure. This is for the new structure that's gonna be built. There was discussion in one of our planning meetings or plan revision meetings to, and it was recommended by Stantec's engineers to change from a electric heater to a natural gas heater. Just due to the freezing and the efficiency of the natural gas versus the electric.
okay. All right, I'd make a motion for the amendment change to add the gas furnace heater.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for a vote. Tara, Kyle,
Aye.
Michael,
Aye.
motion carries. EDA board,
The minutes in your packet, and I don't think we had anything for council.
okay. Harmony Chamber,
Yes. So, as many of you are aware, our director accepted another position. So, we are currently without a director and we're hiring part-time. Came out in the paper, it'll be on social media, all of that. So, if you're interested, let us know. Easter egg hunt is all planned up. And actually, our director is coming back to do the Easter egg hunt since she planned it all and wants to see that through. So don't miss the Easter egg hunt. 4th of July planning, we're no longer having the planning meetings because it's pretty much all planned. We are sending the posters to print April 15th. So if you have anything to add to that, or if the community does, let us know if you would like it to be on the poster. We also had our volunteer roundup last week, I believe, and went really well. So we're looking forward to the busy visitor tourism season.
okay. Thank you. Park board,
We met last night. We did park tours. Everything was in pretty good condition. We noted a few things. The gazebo at Selvig Park has a hole in the roof that we're addressing quickly. We met and discussed the placement of the new shelter that's going by the splash pad. Got that kind of more situated and made the recommendation for Blake to bring to city council. That's about it. Oh, the tree program.
Tree program, yes.
The
Yes.
tree program, tree inserts will be going out. They're due back by May 12th.
Yeah, it's in the,
The price, the one thing I would note with that is the price that you're paying, whether it's boulevard tree or a non-boulevard tree, would include the planting of that by the tree house. So that price
Cool.
is included this time.
and it is the 12th, May 12th.
Is there anything else?
Bleachers, but
We talked about the placement of the bleachers at the Rucker. So.
Yep.
and we submitted the payment from the Harmony Community Foundation to the city. So you should be receiving that for the pavilion.
perfect.
So
Thank you.
just if that isn't all spent on the pavilion, then it should be returned.
Oh, we'll
Okay.
keep track, exactly.
The other
Yep.
thing is you'll be seeing gravel for the campers. In the camp.
Okay.
Gravel pads.
All right. Library board, did you meet?
Library board met last night. We, following the resignation of Elena Patterson, we hired Elena Pollux, who is our new children's librarian director. And she's already working with us. She's doing a great job, and we're glad she's on the team. We also have an upcoming event on April 12th at 1 p.m. Stacy Lynn Hafner is a Minnesota author. She'll be in the library sharing about her published works. So all are welcome to attend that public event. We also discussed at the library board meeting that following some recent cuts from the Department of Government Efficiency, there are cuts to the Institute of Museum and Library Services, which impacts the funding for the internet services at the library. That support for the library and public spaces is rather important to have that funding. So support from the community amid those cuts is quite important. There are efforts to support these public resources, including communication with elected officials beyond the municipal level. If anyone from the community wants to engage in those efforts, they can certainly get in touch with me, and I'd be happy to share what resources I have and how we can all work together to better advocate for our public spaces and the resources we offer our community.
Do those costs go beyond like the $100 or so for internet access?
They do, I believe, yes.
Okay. All right, Arts Board?
Arts Board met, and we are collaborating with the library for an author event on May 8th. There'll be a couple big name authors attending, and anyone who's interested in the event can stop in at the library for more details.
Okay, thank you. Anything from the fire department?
We haven't met.
Okay. And you see the sheriff's reports attached? Any questions or comments on that? At this time, I'd like to close the meeting. And yeah, pardon?
Make a motion in a second.
Okay, motion to close. All right, we'll call for a motion to close the meeting.
There's a specific statute reference 13D point. Is it?
Yep, you need to read the whole,
Yeah, I would reference that when you make a motion to close the meeting, the exact statute.
yeah, it's on the last page.